First order of business will be adjustments to the agenda briefing items. Do we have any adjustments that would like to be proposed?
Under
Yes, sir.
closed session, we need one for legal consultation. If we're allowed to, we will attempt it. It'll be a phone call to an attorney.
Okay. Any others? All right, hearing no other proposed amendments, adjustments, I will call for a vote. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda briefing as amended for legal consultation in closed session? Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion for you, sir, to make that motion to accept the agenda with legal consulate.
All right.
Legal, okay, forget it.
Consultations, yes. Consultations, amendments, do I have a second?
As written.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I second.
I've got a first and second, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Hearing none then, the agenda is accepted. We'll move into phase two, general business. At this time, call for mayor and council comments. The mayor's not here, so we'll start with council. I'll start on this end. The councilman now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, I'd like to congratulate and thank Emily, Chuck Gallion, and all our staff, all of it, for the great parade, the tree lighting, the great parade, and the 5K on Sunday. I was able to make 2 out of the 3, but I was very proud to represent Troutman in the parade, and so happy to see all our residents and citizens come out and support it, and the amount of people that was in the parade. Again, I can't thank our staff, how great a job they did. It's pretty neat when we can put on something that really the taxpayers and the citizens really get a lot of enjoyment out of. So I'd like to thank them again. And on another note, wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a Happy Hanukkah. And another question I have that maybe whoever's in the room here that was at the last November meeting could maybe guide me a little bit, because I've spoken to some people about the last meeting where our lawyer gave us some advice that at the end of the day, I don't think was the correct advice. So, since when does the lawyer run the meeting? Is one of my questions. My other question is, we've accepted proposals and on these items before without written statements. So could maybe somebody just kind of bring me up to speed while we're gonna rehash this thing in December when we could have taken it care of in November?
Mayor Pro Tem, you want me to?
No, go right ahead, yes, sir.
Councilman, now, I don't disagree with your sentiments as far as what we was told to follow versus our practice as a town. We have had numerous projects here to where you are deciding after a public hearing is held and that is closed, and then the elected officials go into different ideas, if you will, as to what you all think that you would like to see, or you feel, or negotiations, if you will, with a developer sometimes to say, hey, what about these? Could you give more boundaries in a green area, for example, or would you do this? Every project that has had those type things historically in this town has always been done and accepted in that meeting. So as to why we received advice at that time saying, hey, don't vote on it and don't do it, and then come back to another meeting, I can't speak for the attorney, but I have researched the law and I have researched our history, and I can just say that was an anomaly is the best answer I can give. I did send an email correspondence stating that it going forward on our agenda, because a couple of you all reached out just as you did asking, is this appropriate, or is that real, or when did the law change? I can't find where a general statute has changed and had stated just directly in the email that we would not do that going forward unless there was something that has changed in the statutes that I was unable to find, and to this point, that's not been offered.
And I don't think we had a statute cited that night either.
There was not, that's correct. It was just one of those, this is what you should do because, and as is normal, it's, you take the advice of legal counsel because that's what they are hired to do and provide. I can't.
But it was not illegal, what council was trying to do then.
No,
So I don't.
not that I have been able to find and or converse with others in a similar situation.
And did he make a statement why it was illegal?
No, sir.
Okay, so
Not that I'm aware of.
when he's here on Thursday night, I mean, not we, I'll ask our lawyer why he felt it was illegal. Because that's the only reason why I can gather, am I correct?
I think that's correct.
I'd also like to add on, if you don't mind.
No.
If it turns out that the way we've been doing it is above board, I think we probably need to look at it from the other side and be sure that the way that we're doing this one now is proper as well, just to cover our bases. You know, because if it's, I don't think we have a whole lot of leeway, right, when it comes to the statutes. You do it the way the statute says, right, and you follow that, or you're out of order, right? So I would like to also be sure that, oh, well, turns out that was wrong, we didn't have to do that, and does that mean Thursday's gonna be business as usual as well? Do we need to be sure that the way that this is handled is proper? Right, I think that's just kind
Yeah,
of reinforcing it from the other end, you know, just.
It just seemed odd that for 3 years now that I've been on council, that all of a sudden this just came up. So I spoke with our town manager and I didn't seem to see what was illegal about what council was trying to do at the November meeting. That he had to say, well, he still hasn't said that it was illegal, but why was it stopped?
As far as I'm concerned, I too have questions. Precedent says that we have normally not done that. We go back and search, we may find one situation that was special for some reason, but I cannot remember. But normally, and that's part of the motion, is that, after the meeting's over, that the conditions are written down, the developer agrees to them. If there is any dispute, then the motion becomes, you might say null and void, and we go through the process again and make sure those conditions are correct, and then, do a remotion and so forth. But that's, again, part of the motion, so that, there's no, we adopt what's not been written down. It's part of the record that we adopt it, but it's subject to conditions being written down, looked over by the developer, and it's signed, accepted and signed, and then the motion goes on through, and, after the meeting is over, so that we don't push it off to another 30 days and delay.
Right.
And that's the way it's been done. If that's incorrect, then no one's ever mentioned it before, and this has been our attorney since the 1990s, so why, I don't know. I have no reason for you. The question's in my mind. I dare say it won't happen again unless there's a statute dictating, or I'm not aware of, dictating that we do that. And I am not, and I don't think so, or it would have been called our attention before now. But I think this was an anomaly, and as the town manager said, and it won't happen again unless the council does wish it to be that way, or there's some valid suggestion that we do it that way for some special reason before we make the motion and pass. But otherwise, I don't see this happening again.
And just to add to that, the agreements, it is a matter of record. That's why we have a clerk. That's why the meetings are not only recorded visually, but also audio. And to Mayor Pro Tem's point, we go back and take those things that are agreed to in the meeting and then put them in writing and verify on both sides, is this what everybody said? Is this what everybody agreed to? And again, to the last point Mayor Pro Tem made, if there comes to be, well, no, we didn't agree with that, then okay, then it comes back before you all to consider, or at least for clarification of what was agreed to. But that is a record, so that's all I'll say.
And I mean, she usually is furiously trying to write down everything that we do in meeting, right? So I mean, that's the thing, even while I've been privy to it, as fast as she writes and says, well, can you make sure to repeat that? She's, had us repeat to make sure she gets it down right. We have a written record on
Yes.
her desk before the
Yes.
vote takes place.
And-
So I think it's just a matter of,
And if I may speak, and that is true, because typically what's happening in the meeting, that's the opportunity to kind of go back and forth with the applicant. And the statute says that the conditions have to be in writing. It doesn't say they have to be in writing at the meeting.
and
Because
notarized.
there's
and-
things that change, and Kim usually takes those conditions, and we have to make sure the ordinance reads correctly, and then the mayor signs it. So that's very common, and typically that's how it's done, so yeah.
And this little gadget right there in front of the town clerk records it as well. The mayor had called to reread all conditions before we did the vote, call and so forth. And that's when the attorney advised us to get in writing and then do it the next meeting. I don't know why he chose to step in and do that. I'll leave it at that, but, at any rate, it will get done next, it won't happen again. Live and learn, that's all I have to say. Sir, what you got?
Again, I'd just like to congratulate Emily and all the staff for, I was at all three events, and there were great turnouts to everyone. In fact, by Thursday night, like, the biggest crowd I've ever seen on a tree lighting. It was like really crowded around, and then, Sunday over here with this run, it was like amazing, all the people. Doug was trying to stay ahead of that one guy who had two kids push him and about passed him up.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, he finished in 16 minutes, and the next person was 20 minutes. So he was flying with these two kids. But it was like a great, I enjoyed at the end watching them come across and stuff. It was like a great time out there. So again, staff, Emily's leadership, it was a great day. The other thing I had was, being a former treasurer, town treasurer, I look always at, we're now at 41, 42% of our budget. And I'm seeing a couple items in the expenditures of 101% and 110% and a 53%. And I was just saying, is there anything we got coming up down the road that we,
No,
do you
sir.
think we're just because of certain things made it jump higher?
No, sir, for like capital expenditures, that was at 101%. So that's something, you budget for knowing what you're gonna spend for capital purchases. So that was always gonna be, like if we've already bought what we were thinking we were gonna buy,
Okay.
that's just a timing thing. And then for insurance, we always pay our annual premiums at the beginning of the
I thought
year.
it was probably that one. Then I noticed that recreation was at 53%, but I didn't know if that was, anything was a problem.
Some of it could be time stuff, time of the year,
Yeah.
you're gonna spend more, but.
But nothing you saw through, so at this point, at
No, sir.
5/12 of the year, we're looking good.
No, sir.
I have a tendency to always look through and I just
Right.
kind of highlight what's over the budget, so,
Right.
make sure that if there's anything coming up down the road, at least we're aware of it. But then see, we're having Thursday night, we're having our audit report, so it seems like.
Hopefully, I was going to, they're still working on getting it complete. But, so basically, and I spoke with the town manager about this, but if because no matter even if they got it done last week, they wouldn't have had time to get the LGC to approve the audit report, but they would have presented it as a draft. And, as long as they get it complete, but.
Yeah, and like I say, you're off, we got everything done in time, so that's good.
Oh, yes, and
I
we're,
remember those times trying to get through that part of it. So the other thing I have is, for our police chief, is at Thomas Street. I noticed the sign got taken down again today. When I came out, it's gone again today, so.
it was shredded this morning.
Pedestrian,
Huh?
yes.
It was shredded this morning and they pulled it.
But the other thing, and I had noticed it, when I started walking more again, and when I get to Thomas Street, it's like maybe the 20th person may stop and let me cross the road. It's like sometimes they won't, but the question somebody had asked me a few days would, is the 330 group, with the middle school, they can walk to the library and stuff, is sometime just once in a while have your guy just kind of sit there to see if they'll stop letting these kids cross. I know they will if you're sitting there.
Yeah, they have been sitting there some,
Yeah.
and they actually have issued some citations for it.
Because I know that they were saying, you know, it's like, you get there and you wait, well, I thought, surely they'll do it for the kids. I knew for me they didn't. You know, I just have to wait till they get all passed, then I go again.
Yes, and so we have been having, but then there is some
Because I didn't want a middle schooler to walk out in the middle of the road.
different prosecutors at the DA's office view it differently, and there's not. The statute just says within the crosswalk, that they by law have to yield. Some people say if they're standing on the sidewalk waiting to cross, they're within the crosswalk. Other prosecutors say it's not until they are in the crosswalk, you know, that the yielding becomes.
It seems like at West Street, we have pretty good response from people. They stop and everything, but it's like at that street, I know they're coming as a curve, but it's like they can still see them standing
Yes.
there. Because they're looking, they'd be coming in the curve looking at them standing there. But anyhow, I just know that one day I asked him about the 3:30, I said, I'll mention it to you. And then when I saw the sign out today, it made me think of that he had asked me about that. I don't know.
But I'll make sure that they're still checking on that area.
But I know if you're there, if your person's there, they're gonna stop anyhow, so. It's that really, but maybe it makes them aware that it's there.
Actually, even when they're sitting there, the guys still are able to catch violators. People will.
You're kidding. They
Yeah.
don't stop even there.
No.
Okay. Anyhow, that's all I had.
All right. Councilman Auction, you wanna go ahead?
Well, unlike everyone else, I'm upset with the events that were put on by the town because I was not able to attend them, so I'm a little bitter about that. I was able to attend the Christmas tree lighting. It was great. Santa, the tree, the singers. It was great. It was packed. It was absolutely the park was packed. I hate that I missed the parade, and I was so eager to beat Fiona again in a race. I know she's watching today. I was ready to get my medal, but she came back, said what a great time it was, what a great environment, great turnout. So yeah, just like others, I commend full staff, everybody involved, sponsors, everybody. It was a great weekend here in town.
My turn. This is Christmas season, my favorite time of year, and it was kicked off by that wonderful parade. I know I'm saying the same thing that everybody else has said, but I will tell you something funny. I was terrified of the horses. And the handlers, or whatever you call the people, they were like, would you like to come and speak to the horses? I was like, oh my God. So she actually,
friends,
yeah, I know, right? I was actually, the girl was getting ready to take a picture, and I was like, my face was like, and she caught the picture. I was like, it was scary, but anyway, they were great. We had a good time. Paul and I sat beside each other, and Eddie was there as well. So we enjoyed it. It was so good. It was raining outside. I was concerned about 9 o'clock that morning because it was raining so hard. But I already saw people sitting out in their cars. They were determined to be at that parade, and it's just good to know that our town people, they didn't care that it was raining. They were going to be out there anyway. It was just good to see so many people out there, so many people that I knew out there, so many of my friends and family outside watching the parade. So great job, Emily, and everybody else who was there working. I just wanted to commend your officers. They've seen some activity at the Meadows, and one day I was coming home and I saw them sitting out there, and we kind of chatted because they were being proactive about some things that they had seen. So I commend them for staying on top of whatever it is they've seen. So thank you for keeping our town safe and for being proactive.
Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. I was reading on Facebook. I know Paul loves social media, but I read it and just read every comment and everything. And I chuckled because someone said, whose idea was it to put this light up here at Talley Street? And I laughed because how many years have we heard we need to strike a light at Talley Street? And now we have people complaining about it. I chuckled.
That was a good comment section. I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was my entertainment for that night. So, but yeah, it's just interesting, how you have those dynamics. My last comment was I wanted to, and forgive me if I missed it somewhere, do we have any updates on the Talley Street sidewalk?
Yes, and just to reiterate, we've got a couple surveying things going on now. We just got approved by the state DOT to finally okay, part of what needed to happen, there. But the surveys, everybody gets excited when they see the surveys, except Councilman Harris, who says, why are they painting up my street? But, all of those are there, and I say that in jest, he didn't.
Yes, he laughed.
But, some citizens, and I'm one of them, that if they're gonna paint the streets, that stuff needs to wash away in a few days, but anyway, all that, when they're doing that, that lets us know the potential actual layout of where the greenways are going to extend and or the sidewalks will be extended, because we do have several that's going on. And the folks on Tally, as we have discussed before, felt like, hey, we got forgot over here. It was not us, that was state DOT funding. And unfortunately, there was some personnel changes here and nobody ever took that. So they was partially correct in what they said. But last year, we put forth every effort to make sure it comes to fruition. But once these surveyed areas are identified, everybody's like, well, if they're on my property, partially that's true, but it's in the state right of way with these roads and streets. But that does not mean that's where the sidewalk is going to go. They have to have these different survey markers so that they can have sight lines and other things done. Once town staff and DOT sits down and agrees, okay, this is where the pedestrian walkways need to be, then you go back through the process of hoping that most people feel community oriented enough to say, here's a donation for the right of way so that there'll be a sidewalk or a greenway area in front of their home or business. And then there may be a couple that says, nope, you're not gonna build it here. So everybody gets identified in the process of trying to accrue the right of way for that to occur. The timeline is this coming year, we will hopefully have finished all the accruals of right of ways and have identified this is where it's gonna go. And most likely, it would be the year after that the project comes to fruition. But those are not hard rule timelines. Like it took us, what, 4 months to get DOT approval on the last process once we submitted the paperwork?
And it's a federal grant, so.
Correct, and yes, Lynn
It's a federal
mentioned,
grant.
due to it being a federal grant, that requires a whole lot more parameters on us. And as you all know, from the time when this project was originally approved to when it's now coming to fruition, the costs are way different than all of that. So all of that will go in there.
Thank you. I have citizens who regularly reach out to me, so I just wanted to be able to give them an update. They'll probably watch this as well, but thank you.
So if I heard you saying about another year or so before,
I would say 2 years before we can smile and say it's done is our projected timeline if everything comes the way it should. If we get into issues on right-of-ways and or negotiations, some people all of a sudden think that little strip of land is now worth $20,000 instead of the greater good for the community. And then we as a town then have to decide, due to the enormous expense that's already coming, at what point does that work, or do we alter the route and go some other direction? Because there are options in that. When it's surveyed, there are options to go to Plan B in case Plan A don't work out optimally.
Man, I hope that doesn't happen.
let me ask you now, if Jim Troutman's still alive, he
Yes.
and Erica's still with us. He and Erica went down to that neighborhood because both of them knew the folks, and they supposedly got permission then. I thought I'd talked to those people and I had already gotten some signed permissions to cross property with sidewalks and so forth. Is that incorrect?
I can remember it being discussed. I don't know where those exist today, but it's hard to have permission in a lot of areas when you don't know where the sidewalk's gonna be. So I do remember it being discussed, as you said.
You have some documentation?
I think that there's some files that I've come across
Mhm.
that I've seen some right of way, excuse me, files.
And that, you know, might not cover the whole ball of wax, but at least save some time or something.
I know there was one lady very instrumental in getting the community to say, this is what we need to do as a community. And yes, I do recall that being occurring, and I'm glad to know that the paperwork's been located.
Good.
Again,
That's
I don't-
all I have.
I don't know what all's in there, but there's some, and I can.
Certainly check, as I say, it may save you some time and expense.
Thank you, Paul.
I think what I would add is that, unlike Felina, I didn't drive in the carriage because I was scared of horses, and I was scared of my granddaughter. When she was told she couldn't be in the parade, I said, whoa, wait a minute, I can't tell her that. And so I asked Emily what can I do, she said, get another vehicle, so I rented a golf cart, and that's why we were in that one, it's separate, for the whole family. Avery would not been happy if she would have been that. And I wouldn't be able to tell her.
I wasn't allowed to say the word parade. So kept that off my plate.
So it worked out, they just picked up the golf cart and took it back, so they, my grandson had it out Saturday afternoon, later on, out riding around in it. I think they were through by Duck's neighborhood, I saw them out there. It was all really good, but appreciate Emily, and we can make that work.
Yep.
And my granddaughter's happy, and my grandson's really tickled, because he drove the golf cart parade.
Glad to hear, I'm glad to hear everyone enjoyed it. I too, kudos as usual to what's been said. Won't repeat, but the parade was very, very nice, enjoyed it. Sitting beside Felina, I would have never known she was tense or a little uneased. I did understand from my internet or my social media filter that, yes, you were, and I said, I could have never known that. So. At any rate, you had posted that, so okay. But anyhow, it was enjoyable, and you know, even with the weather not being the best, the crowd and the people that came out was just very heartwarming, and thank you to the staff and the others that were involved in the parade committee, and Chuck Gallion, everybody, for all that was done. It was just great, wonderful. It's good to get back to some sort of semblance of normalcy after missing, what, we missed one or two? We missed two, two because of COVID. So great to get back to some sense of normalcy finally. And because I've always liked the parade, and I can remember at one other time we did the carriage ride at Christmas, and again that was when Jim was still with us, and Paul Bryant was on the council then, and I don't know if Duck remembers those. I know that's before his time with the town, but may remember from history's sake. But we really enjoyed it then, and so I was tickled to death to see us do it again, and I was not let down. I was even more pleasantly surprised than last time, so very nice. But with that, then I'll go ahead and move on, and I think our next.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't really have a whole lot to add since I'm on the phone. Appreciate everybody who participated. I wasn't able to engage this past weekend, so again, I appreciate the work the staff did to host those events. So thank you for that, and appreciate you, Paul, for leading the meeting tonight. So thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. My pleasure, sir. As I've always said, anytime you need me, just let me know. Okay, let's move on.
Just the one thing to correct myself, when you asked how many, and I said 2, I was thinking 2 years of COVID. We only skipped 1 year of parade, but yes,
Okay.
COVID caused us some issues.
Yes, sir. Yes, sure did, to say the least. All right, sir. Okay, under, I believe we're going to item B. We're on staff items now, and we'll get staff comments, sir, and I will turn it over to you, Mr. Town Manager.
I'm not going to reiterate everything you all said, except just to give a big hearty thank you to staff that stepped up in many different ways to make these events happen. We've had a lot of compliments about how beautiful our town looks and the improvements that some citizens notice, that each year we keep adding things, but just to remind everybody out there, especially those that haven't lived here long, us being a small town, we do not have the budgets that some places have. So a lot of things happen with volunteerism, just like a lot of our wreaths that have been decorated, due to Emily and Adam Lippard being related to his mother. Her and Stan come out and retied and redid a lot of this stuff at the request. But it's like every year we refurbish or remake certain items. A lot of these wreaths, especially down at the depot, Kim and Stan Lippard did all those by hand. And I would just like to really say thank you to them publicly for doing so. As Stan said, he had important stuff to do, like sitting on the couch that got interrupted. But a lot of hours go into trying to get it done, but it is one of those that we take pride in doing, and I do appreciate it. The other thing, when you all was talking about, and I apologize for stepping out of the room for a phone call, but when I came back in, Councilman Harris was talking about different people and watching children. We had one incident where during our Jingle Run 5K this weekend, part of my duty was to go in front of the runners. As you pointed out, the one gentleman with the two children was a little over 16 minutes, and I think he could have been faster had I not held him up a time or two. But one in particular was the motoring public now does not pay attention in general. And one such resident that lives close by decided he was going to drive through regardless, but yet instead of understanding that these people are walking or running and just a couple minutes patience, took time to voice concern that I'm driving, whatever he called it, and yelled at him to stop, and I certainly did and would, because he was trying to cross paths of pedestrians walking. And by law, without signs being around, pedestrians have the right of way in town limits. We do have the designated areas that he has pointed out. Over on Wagner Street, we've got a couple drivers that the town has threatened to be sued because we put up these little things that talks about the pedestrian crossing. It's been a couple social media posts back and forth that some people's like, well, why did the people put them there? Do they not know no better? Well, that's a yellow line that you're not supposed to be driving on or in. And DOT approved, and we put them there just for the fact that if it's a small child walking and you can't see that sign that's high-res yellow, you certainly are not going to be seeing a child. And some citizen was gracious enough to point that fact out on one of the social media posts. But as we are growing and as we are doing things, I would just simply like to add to the chief's warnings out there, especially in the holiday time of the year. Let's slow down just a little bit and be a little more cautious as you're driving around town, because we do have a lot of foot traffic here that we appreciate very much. To me, that's one of the things that makes our town special and gets talked about not only here but in other areas. But for now, that's all I have. We've got a special group of presenters here. If it's all right with you, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Emily Watson so that she can introduce these young ladies and get the program. They multiplied when I left the room.
Thank you. This afternoon we have Girl Scout Troop 12965, and they're here for a presentation for a proposal for their Silver Award project. Staff, maintenance staff, the manager, myself, we have met with them already and worked through any questions we had regarding maintenance plan, longevity plan, sustainability, those type things. So we have worked through those, and this project does come with a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Committee. So they've presented to them, and they of course get the thumbs up and the go ahead as well. So I'll turn it over to you ladies. You're welcome to stand here or wherever you feel comfortable. You can go up here. I'll let you here. But they had a couple pictures here for you, and then some information on your handout.
Hi, we are Girl Scout Troop 12965, and we are here to discuss our Silver Award project proposal. We would like to install birdhouses throughout Troutman ESC Park and create an orienteering activity.
The houses will be durable and made from cedar to be long-lasting. We brought this example of ours. The houses will be decorated with outdoor paint and wood-burning techniques, so that way the houses are durable but still look interesting and nice. See pictures below for some ideas. The houses will be placed 8 to 10 feet above ground to hopefully decrease vandalism. We will check the houses twice a year. The birdhouses will be located along the fitness walking trail, soccer and baseball field, and near the golf cart. We will work with town staff to determine the exact location of the birdhouses. The birdhouses will be attached with nylon webbing so the trees can still grow safely. This has been researched, and we are aware that this is a safe option.
We will create an orienteering activity that will use the Compass app on phones in order to guide participants to each new birdhouse. We would like to post information about the orienteering activity in the sign box near the pavilion. The information will contain a QR code to scan, which will lead participants to a website that plots a course to the birdhouses. The course will allow participants to explore the park in a new way. We would like to install Final House by the Blessing Box as an ending spot to the birdhouse activity. The house will be placed underneath the blessing box with a QR code to open a virtual letter from the troop saying thank you and asking that next time they come to donate to the blessing box. The house would be in a very safe location. It is a safe swap spot at Town Hall. This house would not be a birdhouse, it would just be a decorative house.
We are excited to hopefully work with the town of Troutman since this is our community. We chose this project to encourage children to get outside under the leaves in the park and to introduce children to basic forms of learning. Thank you for listening and considering our project.
Okay, so, council, did you have any questions for the girls or any additional information you needed from both of them?
What is orienteering?
Orienteering is kind of like a scavenger hunt, but a little bit more complex. Have you ever heard of geocaching? It's sort of like that.
With no treats. Right, usually there's like a little thing or something,
Well,
right? The way that I understand it.
Our treats
Or the bot, exactly.
it's getting to go outside in nature and looking at
And
beautiful
see.
pieces of art.
Any additional questions or
No
clarification?
one else has any question? You're gonna let them off the hook? All right, I got a few more questions. So you said you're gonna check them twice a year? So what would a typical checkup be? Like, what are you looking for?
Probably just going around to check for like vandalism and bird nests.
Okay.
Trying to like check and see if we're like, potentially damaging the tree. It probably will not happen because nylon webbing is a safer option rather than hooking it up with chains to the tree. So that way the tree can go safely.
Okay. Nobody else?
You got it.
I'm the only one with kids here. Come on now. I think it looks good. So you're gonna decorate them, right? And so with the orientation, so is there like an app? Is that how it works on the phone? Because I saw you say had a QR code to get the virtual letter.
It most likely will be a website.
Okay.
that we
Okay.
create.
Yeah, so Harrison Concepts, who already sponsors a volleyball court at the park, said that they are willing to host the website aspect of this
Okay,
project for the
okay.
girls.
So they'll each be like decorated differently, or
Yes,
Okay.
we'll use both wood burning and paint techniques. So each one should hopefully be unique.
I like this. It's layered. You know, it's not just we want to put up some bird boxes. You know, like it's got a engagement to it. I think it's a great project. So kudos on coming up with this. And I'm finished.
Anyone else?
I've got more. I'll get you after.
I would just like to add that in meeting and discussing a couple different times from different ideas on the projects, just a thought process of using cedar wood, something that does not rot or decay like pine You can see that by the durability of the house that they brought in, there has been thought and a lot of thought go into the process of making it a sustainable project that is of value to the community and resource. The idea with the QR code, to me, that's just a little extra thing that helps keep people engaged and involved. And even though it's only intended to be a 5 or 6 year process, I think it's something that once these young ladies have grown into young women, that others can come to replace these houses just by what they have designed as a foundation. So I certainly think with what council has at least told staff they're looking for times previous, that these group of ladies have certainly put forth the effort in making sure it was a win-win for all involved.
I completely agree. It's something I could even maybe see when the new group comes in. This is something that could be maybe expanded along the Greenway, you know, and turn it into almost like a destination type thing. We need to go to Troutman and do that birdhouse walk that they got down there. You know, I mean, it's excellent project, excellent.
Can I see the back of it? I used to be in Girl Scouts, we didn't do stuff like this. I was trying to figure out how you get into it if you want to check for, she said they were gonna check for, bird nests. That's just a
This
purely
panel,
ignorant.
this panel's
What?
removable
It's removed, okay.
in the back.
That was a purely ignorant question, so
No,
I'm sorry, I
it's
just
probably
didn't
hard to
really
see.
Even I was confused when we first started putting nuts and bolts on. I was like, what is that for?
That's beautiful, I love that, it's very nice.
We built them yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Was it yesterday?
Saturday, yeah.
Never mind, it was Saturday.
This weekend.
They did really good.
We did it after we walked in the parade.
Wow, that's impressive, I love it.
Okay, so just looking for a recommendation to move forward with the project if there's no other questions or.
I'm sure we'd love to argue about colors.
Inside joke.
Can I just take an informal straw poll, shall we say? Anyone, against? So I'll just put it that way. I think, what I'm gathering here, that it's a project well worth doing, and these young ladies have stepped forward, and thank you very much for doing that and making our town and certain portions of it prettier, and as Councilman Oxford says, make it maybe a destination one of these days. Excuse me?
You need a motion?
I was just going to take an informal, if no one, is everyone?
Anytime we can get our youth of our community involved with a project such as this, it's a great thing. And as Town Manager Wyatt said, this is, and Councilman Oxer, this is a tradition maybe they can carry on. I think it's great.
Exactly.
We do need a motion, Mr. Mayor.
We want a motion, all right, let me have a motion on this then, please.
I'll make a motion that, we let this Girl Scout Troop 1122965 do the birdhouse project in the ESC park.
I'll second Other Harris.
We have a first and second, any discussion? Call for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna say this, even though I think I know the answer, no. I don't hear anything, so it is passed. Thank you very much.
And just so you all know, as with all scout projects, they still work through staff till completion. But that's, even though it wasn't stated, that's what happens.
Well,
And
we
their
need to keep
target
Emily busy.
completion is this spring.
Thank you.
I look forward to it.
Thank
you.
you,
Yeah,
ladies.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll move on to our next item of business. Town Manager, I believe we're going to take an overall view of the upcoming regular meeting agenda Thursday night.
You have your consent item agendas. There is an annexation request on number 5 for 2 acres at 138 Houston Road. Adoption of a resolution directing the clerk to investigate a petition under the General Statute 160A. Approval of a certificate of efficiency and adopt a resolution titled Resolution Fixing Date of Public Hearing on Question of Non-Contiguous annexation, the setting the public hearing date for January 12th in 2023. That information is supplied in you all's package. Do you have any specific questions that I can answer as to any of those?
This is the property that when I drove out Houston Road, it has like a concrete pad poured, but the building's not built. That's the one, right?
It is, and for clarification, as a couple of you all have asked, was the cart before the horse on this or the horse before the cart? Obviously, it being non-contiguous annexation, it was one of those that went through county permitting to start their building process, and then they came and asked to annex into us. And per a couple of you all's questions to me, I've consulted with Lynn, and we have reached out to the builder developer to make sure that whatever building they are building is in compliance with our UDO and all those requirements. The initial thoughts was it is in compliance, but we were waiting on a couple final items to be submitted by them. And hopefully before Thursday, if there's a change in that, we will be able to provide you that information. Because I know several of you said, hey, we're not going to annex a property into the city if it's not already in compliance with our UDO, because why would we make everybody else follow it if they're not going to? And that's all we are trying to adhere to there, is make sure those questions are answered before you take a vote on it.
And their big thing was they decided they needed water and sewer at that facility.
That is
And
correct.
that's why I read back there.
That is,
And if I'm, just to let you know, we did get a copy of the site plan that was attached to the permit that they had approved in the county. And upon reviewing it, it does appear to meet our UDO standards. The only thing they didn't do is go before our DRB. So that is a requirement that we have. I reached out to the applicant and told them they were gonna have to do that. He said, no problem. He actually went ahead and submitted some information, but I told him, hold off, we can't even, we can't consider that until you're in the town. So, but that was.
In my driving by there, I didn't see anything that said, hey, this is gonna be against UDO. Nothing stood out to me out there.
So zoning won't be an issue?
should not be, as from what records we can see at this point.
So just annexation. That was my question.
Anybody else? We move to number 3. We have special guests who will be making a sizable donation to the Troutman ESC Park. We will recognize Chris and Francie Carney Thursday evening. And then we hope to have, we discussed this morning in our department directors meeting, we may have to pull number 7. At this point, we're still hopeful that the audit report can be here for you, but there is a possibility that number 7 may be removed as it is not completed. Justin has been working a few overtime hours to try to accrue some of the information they have had. As you all and we have discussed in open meetings before, it's not an issue of impropriety, but it comes back to simple personnel and accounting firms at the time and the practices that was used. For example, we have one fund that had money in it and hadn't been used in how many years was it? 18?
Remember what I said this morning?
Yeah, 18 years?
Yeah, so, I guess originally when the first journal entry was done to set up, once we got on our new software, back on our 2002 audit, it was a contributed capital line item, and some adjustments were made to that over 2003 and 2004, but since 2004 it has not changed. And so the auditor this morning was asking, well, on Friday and this morning, he was asking me what that was for, and I said, well, I'm gonna have to do some digging to find out, what happened 20 years ago. But after speaking with him a little bit this afternoon, I think they're just, which I told him, I felt like that was a fund balance. It just needed to be grouped with fund balance for the utility fund. And so I think he agreed with me this afternoon, so.
It's little things like that of mirroring the line item up for its intended purpose that are just, they are doing a wonderful job per Justin, and Justin is trying to, as that explanation came to you all, to see, well, what are the nuances? Why would it be different? And it's just as he explained. Anybody have any questions of Justin in reference to that? Number 8, Town of Troutman future land use map definitions. Continuation of the public hearing. We have had some issues with this being posted on the website. For whatever reason, buttons got turned off or were not allowed access. So this was not, as you all voted last month for this to be posted there and readily available and viewable for everybody. We have only heard from one citizen. I believe I sent you all an email per that. Unless Lynn has had others, we have only heard from the one citizen that was upset that this was not there for people to view. Entirely up to you all on that one, if you wish to proceed forward with it. I will say there was numerous times during the process, as we discussed last month, as you all discussed last month, and staff reported, that citizens have had opportunities to participate over the spring and summer that this committee had formed. So it's not that we are doing anything detrimental or not within their purview, but if I interpreted you all's intent correctly, you just kind of wanted the final product out there for a month for everybody to be able to see that for whatever reason had not engaged. And I just want to accurately report, there was a brief week or so period, maybe 2 weeks at most, that this was not on the site as we thought it was and readily available. So you all certainly can proceed with it. This,
Other than our chairman of the committee, has anybody else noted that?
no.
That's what I'm saying, so it was available if anybody wanted to see it, obviously.
It has been readily available here in person, and
Because
other
he
than that
told Lynn, I
website.
think it was back on it, when I talked to Lynn the next day, it was back on there, so we don't really know whether it was a day or two, what it was on.
We posted the draft map. It was finalized by the committee the Friday before the planning board, which I think was sometime back around the week before Thanksgiving, somewhere in that time. It's mid-October.
But no other than the chairman, no other citizen is, within there couldn't find it.
That is correct.
Okay.
And I've had some people reach out to me and say, could you point me in the direction, and I've sent them a link. And then we also had the article that Debbie ran for us the Monday before Thanksgiving.
We didn't see any comments on that article,
I did not.
the last time I looked at it.
I have not received any.
All right, with the time it was not up, if I'm hearing all correctly, has it been up there for 2 weeks at least?
Yes.
I would
On the
say-
site, at least for
Yes.
2 weeks. So people have had a chance, at least over the past 2 weeks, or longer, to see.
Yes.
And ask questions if they have questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And just to add to that, in general, you have a lot of different people out there that have their ways of soaking up news in different ways. And I'm not trying to be rhetorical with my comment here, but as we have all discussed previously, town staff has always followed its rule. Our meetings are open to the public. We now have them on video, and they used to not be. We are doing the website information. Each department kind of has a website sub of that. So we're actually disseminating information now more than at any time in our history. But you still have certain ones who say, well, you didn't send it to me by text, or you didn't send it to me by Snapchat, or you didn't send it to me by Twitter. We can't do all those things. If we were a bigger town with money to waste, we certainly could invest in person who had nothing to do but Snapchat, Twitter, and any other social media form that people thinks that they should be spoon-fed. But we are on our websites, and we are through the press doing more than we ever have. Councilman Oxshaw's grinning at me. I must have said
No, I
something wrong
think
with one of them
I
websites.
wanted to say, very well put. That was actually what was going through my mind, so.
Thank you.
No.
I thought I quoted one site I shouldn't have, maybe.
Oh, no.
But number 9, rezoning request, North Fork Business Park. That's the one that was started last month, and it was continued as we have already discussed. Number 10, annexation request. Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting you, sir. I'd like to make it clear, and anyone please correct me, for anyone that's listening, and for the press that's here, anybody and everybody is welcome to our meeting this upcoming Thursday night. But if they're coming with the intention of us reopening a public hearing that's been closed, or that they can stand up and add to what's already been said from our last meeting, that opportunity will not be afforded. The public hearing has been held regarding this project. We've heard both sides. There's no more to be said about it, I guess, other than discussion among council. And if council chooses to reach out and ask one of the other sides some questions, then so be it. But again, as far as the public being afforded an opportunity to stand up as they were last meeting at the public hearing, that will not be done unless, I guess, council votes to republish. I guess we'd need to republish and reopen it and delay it another 2 or 3 months. So I just don't want people to come thinking that they're, because I'm seeing, my filter is telling me that it is on social media to come and stand up and talk, and I just don't want folks to come and be disappointed and go out of here fuming because they were not allowed, as they would have been at last meetings during the public hearing, since the public hearing has been closed. Everybody is welcome. Please come, excuse me?
You're talking about the public hearing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It was closed last month.
Exactly, yes, sir. And I just don't want anybody to come under the wrong impressions. Come, please come, you're welcome, but don't come with the impression that the public hearing will be reopened and you're allowed to continue to speak, or if it's someone new, to speak for or against this project. That's not gonna happen unless, again, council decides to do something differently Thursday night. But that'll involve a lot of extra work if we do. Sure.
To add just to what you're saying, Mayor Pro Tem, I did receive several emails, some positive, some favorable, and of course some not so. A couple parties asking to meet, and as I had explained, was basically what you just stated. There's no need to meet at this point. The hearing, public hearing for both sides, as far as staff goes, there was no need for us to meet unless there is new relevant factual information, and if that's the case, we will try to figure out how to get that to the appropriate people's attention and hands if possible. Nobody has tendered any new facts, but I've got a lot more opinions and casual things about what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not supposed to do. So I let them know that we were prepared and dutifully aware of what our requirements were. Anything else?
Can I tell about the email?
You can, but it's irrelevant at this
Yeah,
point.
I got an email that, a lady saying that I didn't read her public comment, and I did have it with me, but it got shuffled in papers, so I'm just reading it. But you all had received it as council when she sent it to me. So I apologize profusely to her in an email back, and, she did not respond back to me, so.
Last month, you all had that comment in your
Yes.
packet, so you did have her opinion or feelings on the topic, even though it was not read publicly for the audience. But as you all will also recall, in a council meeting, I don't remember if it was agenda or regular meeting, we discussed the fact that the reason we took great pains to have those periods in there was because of COVID, people not being able to come. Well, once that was lifted, we discussed removing that, and it was inadvertently left on the agendas asking for information, and going forward, that is removed. We don't have the option of people to email and have their comments read at meetings. If they choose to make comments, they certainly are welcome to attend and make whatever statement they would like to make. Also, I'll get to that before we get to, we finish. Anything else on that number 8 item, or number 9 item? Number 10 is the annexation of Shen Farms, request, of the property there. Going to number 5, Roman numeral 5, number 11. Annexation request of the church, to come into the city, into our town limits. Number 12 is a rezoning request, which goes back to number 10. If 10 is passed, then number 12 would be considered next. 13, water
One
system.
question if we go,
Yes.
the number 11, am I reading it right, the church itself is not being annexed, just the next area? Or does it include the church and all of it? And then,
There are 2 different parcels, and I will be very honest with you, I didn't look to see which one is
I
which.
sort of know we took something out of it, from that total before, because of one of the parcels, but when I was looking at the map, I was just curious, is the church stand out of the annexation, but the next building is?
In my discussion with the, I'm sorry, I don't know if he goes by minister or preacher or chaplain, but the reverend of the church, my discussion with him going back to many years ago, probably 2016, was that eventually he wanted the entire property annexed, and back then it was just the church. So I did not review this to tell you if it's one or both, I don't know.
Well, now, the maps on there goes from Moose Club Road to Fraser Loop, down to 21, back to the railroad track. So that would include the church.
So I didn't pick up the bit at Moose Club Road, I saw it going to, it said the church up there, and that's why I was wondering. And they
Map I
changed the
saw, I
parcel,
thought
there's
the
another
church.
note in there about changing the parcel. That's why I'm just curious, why would he not go all the way to the church? It just makes sense to me to do that.
And you're talking 8 acres there, so if it didn't, I would be,
Went to
you
the
know,
railroad tracks, and went back, I'd have thought it
railroad
needed.
and Fraser Loop on the, well, if you're facing it, it'd be the right.
But when I
And I
read
thought
through
I
it-
saw Moose Club and then 21.
Fraser Loop, I would assume, is just the building that is going to be the birthing center, birthing education. I would assume it's just that. If you took the whole campus there, that would, I would assume would be closer to 25 acres.
And when I looked at the map here, it shows, above it says the Calvary Fellowship of Huntersville up here, and then it shows this piece of property, and it shows the Barium property, and the Barium over here, and 21. And that's why, and there's a reason, it seemed like they took the church out of the annexation.
Yeah, I think it's one parcel, and I think it includes the home that they're building.
But not the
But
church.
I can verify that before Thursday, and make sure it does include the church. Because there was an application they originally submitted that included 2 parcels.
And it had the
They
church.
removed that one parcel and brought back the plat with just the 8.34 acres.
And I just thought it was kind of odd that
Well, we
they're really
can-
looking to make sure they have sewer and water, but they don't want sewer and water to the church.
Yeah, I can get you an
I was
answer.
just curious, when I looked at this again, and one of the notes I read it there when I was reading, thought, maybe the church has been, they removed it, why? Just curious.
I can get you an answer.
Well, now, we ran some lines up to the church, do we not?
We did.
Are they connected yet?
They are.
They are connected. So they're getting water from us,
Yes, sir.
and just water though, at this time. Okay.
Well, once we had the upgrades that Iredell County used ARP funds for so that they would be able to use the rec facility without issues, that did include, the Children's Hope Alliance campus. I do not know at the time if that split off, and Adam's not here for me to clarify, that ARP funding did include part of Children's Hope Alliance campus, even though they were selling the property. So some of that property on that side of the road has been connected to our wastewater system as well, even though they also are not annexed as of yet. But that was under that ARP funding formula that the county did.
Well, that's why I maybe asked that question, for their reason they've gotten what they need, so they said, heck, we'll put that part in here too. It just seemed odd to pull that, if I read that
I
right.
will certainly follow up on all those, and Lynn can follow up on their intentions if it's the church and the the, I'm honestly not certain what it's titled or gonna be called, but the birthing center is all I knew it referred to. But we'll follow up.
Yeah, I was actually just see if I could get the aerial up here too.
Anything else on that? Wastewater system, AIA project. This goes back to where we have, had to designate firms to, proceed forward with our project where we've received, this was the first $2.5 million we received, you recall?
No, the AIA ones are the small grants, and then
The $900,000?
no, these are just the AIA, the water one's 175, the clay pipe's 225, and then item number 15, that's the total of 2.3 million, I think 1.6 or so of it is grant funding.
That was the original one that we got approved year before last, that is coming to the paperwork now to get these done. And we have to select the engineer firm to be able to receive those funds. Once that part's done, and this last batch of funding gets done, then we will come back to you for a resolution to accept those funds. Anybody have any questions on those three items, 13, 14, or 15? Number 16 is, you all have had various appointments for most of the year. And going into 2023, we've already had one of those to reach out repeatedly, worried that we're not going to designate one of you all, or you're not going to designate one of your co-council members to be there. So that's why it's on your calendar to consider appointments for 2023, whether you wish to remain in your current positions or switch. That's entirely up to you all. And then if you will also notice, number 6 is public comment period. As we have spoke with a couple other electeds in other towns, it has been voiced by concerns of a few of you all. We don't mean to inhibit or prohibit what people say in a public comment section when they come to speak, but what a couple of you all felt in conversation with me was that when we had it as item number 2, they were able to say things here when there was a lot of people here, but then once one or two things happened, then the room cleared out, and by the time we got to the end where elected official and staff reports come up, nobody's here to hear a response to what was said. So as other elected bodies are starting to do, it is more appropriate. We want people to participate in meetings, of course, but it's also fair to you as elected officials and staff that if the public has allowed its comments at the end, then elected officials and staff gets to respond in their normal manner, whether it's addressing one of those concerns that may have been brought up or not. Because typically for public comment section, it's not a question and answer time. It's time for them to state what's on their mind and or ask a question, but a lot of times it's not appropriate to answer it right then because that's their time to speak. But that's why that has been adjusted in the agenda to be where it's at. And again, it's in following suit with other elected bodies that are trying to do the same thing. And that's pretty much it. I'll be glad to answer any questions or provide any clarification if you need.
I have a question that you don't have to answer. Which one of the organizations is concerned about us, concerned that we may not make an appointment on item 16?
That's the COG. The COG is wanting to know as quick as possible who that delegate's gonna be, and you got the schedule, meeting schedule and all that, so they can get you on the list.
They didn't say nothing to me. Because they don't like me.
No, that's just the way they do every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do that every year.
It's their way of doing
I thought we
it.
had a good relationship.
No, it's not that anything's done bad, they are just
They're on the ball.
on it to get the
Yeah.
name so that they can have it all there and who the backup is, just in case.
The CRTPA
But
is
it's
something.
definitely not a negative thing.
Okay.
I have to notify every year who's representing these committees.
Well, I just don't, I know I won't be here Thursday. I know some of you know, but for those that don't, I won't be here Thursday. So I won't be able to participate in this. However, I am the current Centralina Council, unless you choose to go with a more wise choice. I'd be happy to fill that role again for the upcoming year. So there's my volunteerism for the day. I don't know if we have an alternate. I don't think I have an alternate.
Should have.
Mm-hmm.
Do it?
There's a list in the
Yeah.
packet.
Eddie's your backup.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got good attendance, so you ain't gotta worry. Yeah.
I'll be your wingman.
All right, gotcha.
I guess I would volunteer with Eddie Farrell.
Yeah.
I knew it was somebody, I couldn't remember who.
Yeah, so Jerry and Eddie, and then, CRTPO is the mayor, is the main delegate, and then George Harris is the alternate, and then,
Now, I'm actually filling in for the mayor, because he's gonna be out.
then Lake Norman Regional is, Lake Norman Transportation is Paul and Felina.
All had good attendance, but
There you go, see?
I would like an answer on the, before the Thursday night's meeting. You know, I'm sitting here trying to read the points here on this thing, and I'm still, you know, and thank you for bringing it up, because I guess I made an assumption. And, you know, looking at this thing, trying to be a surveyor, which I'm not, whether it's included or not. And I thought 10 acres, that surely it was,
Well, I
but
thought
I
so
don't know
too,
now.
then when I
either.
read that.
never gotten a list like this, right?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah,
I
I'm
read it,
sitting
it
here,
said, looked like it was, the church was taken back out, and I was just curious, why would the same person that
Exactly.
has both, why would you do that?
right. I guess
Well,
that's.
they getting that, my thought was they're getting water from somewhere else, I was thinking it's already on water.
No, they're getting one from us, and I guess maybe that's why I'm just thinking from common sense, they want to put the church in there and the birthing center.
That don't say commercial
So,
five below, really,
I won't,
that
you know.
survey.
It's the second time I've gotten
Let me
a
ask
little
you a question,
confused.
what's this birthing center?
The long building, the two-story building, they're making this
People
convenient,
are gonna have,
for pregnant women and stuff, a place for them.
people are gonna have kids up there?
No, it's
No.
counseling.
It's a
counseling.
resource.
Right.
Oh.
It's a resource.
Birthing center sounds like, you're gonna go there and have a
Well, that's
baby.
kind of what I thought too, it sounds like, but I mean, obviously not.
We wanna get-
We're gonna need you to be an alternate.
I will tell you
That's
that.
why they
One,
call
I was
it
born and
Vegas.
done.
I will tell you that's the building I lived in when I was up there.
Oh, the birthing center.
On the second floor of that building.
But if I may make a request, that,
They gave us some.
this is the second time I've been a little confused as to, something like this, and I've made an assumption that I maybe should not have, but can we in the future have some sort of maps that kind of shows exactly, you know, road-wise, you know, give us context of where this property is, and circle or line off what exactly is included in the, you know, something like this, show up here, like on this map, could have been, up here's Moose Club Road, and here is the line drawn for the property that's being proposed to be annexed, and we would know then whether it includes the church or not, or something. But, yeah, I know, I was looking at it more,
That's the church.
yeah, exactly, that's what I, you know,
This is what I said, this.
it just, and I guess I was going from common sense part of it.
There was a comment, there was a thing in there, a comment somewhere, and I was reading about the parcels being split.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir.
Just a question, that I know we're not taking a vote on this now, but is that a concern to us as a council, that the church itself is not gonna be included in that annexation?
I don't
Because
think
if
it is,
it
because
is-
they don't pay tax anyhow.
Right.
They're a nonprofit,
But
so,
if it's
It's
not,
just not
is
a-
that a concern to us, whether or not we would approve that or disapprove it?
Yeah.
That's kinda what I'm
The
saying.
only thing,
Because if it's a concern, then maybe we should table it
no,
until we can get some more information.
no, that's not what I just want to
No,
know
no,
what
no.
I am indexing, you know.
Right, but is it a problem if the church is not gonna be
No.
annexed?
Not for me.
the only concern would be that we provide water and sewer to.
Well, we don't know if
people in
we
the next area.
provide sewer, right?
Just water, I believe.
We're providing sewer.
The church.
But I'm just curious as why they drop it out, if we're,
Right.
if they're going to South Building to get water and sewer, what are they doing up there?
Right, but if you're concerned, then I could be concerned, and Jerry and Felina could be concerned.
Well, because it's gonna be two different rates, right? If we've got one parcel that's in town, they're gonna get the town rate.
Or are they getting the other?
Parcel that's outside is gonna, right, so, yeah, how,
Well, you're right there,
How
they
potentially
really affect the rate,
murky is
obviously, they pay double.
I think
outside.
from what I heard, it was more of a clarification, why are we not taking both instead of one? But if the applicant only wants one, that's entirely up to them, and I didn't hear any objections to that. But they do pay a higher rate for outside water rates,
They just need to understand that.
yes.
Right, correct.
If they choose to stay.
But we certainly can clarify, and I think it's elementary that we should have in any annexation that we're identifying what's being annexed.
Yeah,
And
and
I
again-
apologize, I did not review and ensure that that was being done.
Yeah,
And I apologize as
again,
well.
to clarify, what Eddie was asking, no, that makes no difference to me, one way or the other. I just wanna know exactly what I'm asking.
No, okay, no,
Yeah.
I just thought it could be a possible concern for all of us.
Yes, no, not for me.
And this one's a little unusual because it's in our ETJ.
Excuse me?
This is a little unusual because it's in our ETJ.
Right.
And typically, we do include those location maps with the annexation portion of it. So I apologize, I should have inserted that in there and I did not. So
I guess I'm
something we
just, again, it
typically
was
do.
an assumption on my part,
Mhm.
so I mean, I'm
We'll clear
partially
it
to
up by
blame, but,
Thursday. Yeah, not a problem.
I'm glad that, George called that and brought to my attention, because, and I apologize to our town manager, because while he was talking, I was sitting here trying to play surveyor and, to see, and it looks like he's certainly correct, and so I felt a little foolish with the pile on my face, but no, I just make it a request, and it's not a problem as far as actually going ahead with the procedure Thursday night, of annexing in, if that be the will of the council. I just wanted to know exactly what I'm annexing in, nothing else for my own well-being.
you said it's ETJ, but will this be contiguous?
It will be if,
Now it is.
yeah.
With
The variant.
With the variant, okay.
Ready to move on, sir?
Even without the church, it'll be contiguous. Okay, all right, making sure.
If the church come first, that would be non-contiguous.
Oh, okay, so this is actually south then?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had it flipped for some reason, all this talk of Moose Club. You're thinking that's.
Yes, sir.
We're ready.
We're ready.
You can excuse people and go to closed session.
And just